Welcome to Angular Complete Series Part 4 Hello World. So in this lecture, we are going to create Hello World application using Angular. In order to proceed, we need to create first one folder somewhere in your drive. So in my case, I have created one Angular folder here. Now we need to open this Angular folder in Visual Studio Code. So there are a couple of ways we can open this folder into Visual Studio Code, but the shortest I prefer is to navigate to your folder structure, type cmd. It will open the command window where you can just say code dot. Press enter, it will open the Visual Studio Code with that folder pointed properly. The other way is when you open Visual Studio Code, by default it shows you these three start options, out of which you can select open folder and select your solution folder, which you can select and open. Both of these ways Visual Studio Code will open your folder. So as of now we can see here we don't have any file inside the Angular folder. So let's begin by typing in our first command, which will create first initial setup for our project. So this is where first time we are going to use Angular CLI. Alright, so let's begin our creation of the Hello World application. So in order to create a new project, we need to run a command called as ng new and give your application name which you want to use for your application. In my case, I'm going to create a library application, so I'm giving it the name as library app. Also, instead of using new, you can use only n, which also stands for new. So here we are using our first Angular CLI command, which will help us in creating the initial scaffolding and directory structure for our initial setup of the Angular application. When I press enter, you see running this command is throwing error. How can we fix this? After looking for the online solutions for this problem, I found out that there is some restriction being put to execute this command. So as you can see here, in order to fix this, we need to open the command prompt in administrator mode and run this command in the command window. PowerShell space set execution policy space unrestricted. When I press enter, you see there is no message being printed, but now our command will start working. So in case if you are not getting the error, you need not to execute. Alright, so let's begin our creation of the Hello World application. Let's execute our command again. Execution of this command is going to ask us a couple of questions in order to configure the application as per our need. Alright, let's type the new application creation command again and execute it. Type ng space n space library app and press enter. This command will ask us a couple of configuration questions so that it would create an initial project setup as our configuration preferences. So first question, CLI wants whether you want to enable strict type checking in your project or not. Let's just say no for now. This question is an addition in Angular CLI 11. Next, it wants to know whether to configure initial routing or not. We will opt no again. We will do it manually and we'll see later what difference does it make in choosing yes in default project creation. Next, it wants to know what is our style sheet writing preference would be. I would like to choose SCSS. To choose any option here, press the up down arrow keys. Press enter. Now, project creation has been started. It will take some time as it will create a couple of files and folders, and it will also set up some initial configuration to run the application smoothly. I will be right back once this command execution is completed. Alright, so as you can see here, package installed successfully, the last message being printed from terminal, and also there is additional line being printed. You might not be getting the same line in your case. The reason being, I had already set up the Git repository so that as and when we proceed, I might be able to give you the updated code via Git. So it is telling me that the directory is already version control, skipping initialization of Git. In case if you don't get, which is perfectly fine. So now as we know here, our initial application setup is being done. So let's expand this folder and observe there are couple of files and folders being created by our CLI command. We will be looking into these files and folders in more detail in coming lectures, but for the time being, we need to just verify one thing, whether our setup is properly done or not. In order to verify that, we will be running one final command in this lecture which will help us to identify everything is done properly so far. So just type in ng serve. So you see here, this is again a Angular CLI command. And what it will do, it will create a local development server. So just press enter and see the serve command requires to be run in Angular project, but a project definition could not be found. The reason is we are at the folder named as Angular, where ng serve command is looking for AngularJSON on this Angular directory. So it will not find it there. So what we have to do is we have to point to the library app directory. Here again let's type in ng serve and press enter. It should show us that Angular is listening on a port. So for Angular applications, by default, it configures the port number 4200. So here you are seeing you might be getting the same sort of messages in green and yellow. And important thing here to notice is this particular segment, where it is telling us that the Angular server is up and running, and you can go ahead and open this link in your browser. So if I go to my browser and type the localhost 4200, press enter, you see our application is up and running. If so far you are able to follow me and your application is also working, you are following very greatly. And this is our Hello World application. We will see in each of these segments from where this all HTML is coming from and how these files are connected to each other and what is there specifically inside the SRC. We will be exploring this as and when we keep proceeding with the coming lectures. So that was it for this lecture. Thank you very much for watching.